Evening, Lincoln fans. How are we doing? I seem to have a banner on there that I don't really want, so I better get that off. Going live shortly. Let's get it hidden. I've got another banner prepared up here. You might have realised that the club have put a tweet out and something might be happening. That's coming later. First of all, this is actually the very first edition of what I'm hoping to be a weekly or fortnightly magazine video show that I'm going to do called In the Bar. We are in the bar. Literally, I've got my can of California IPA on the go already. It's beautiful sunshine. Going forward in the future, I'm hoping to have guests come and sit next to me. I'm hoping to get video guests in. We'll do a few other bits and bobs as well. Going to do it very much in addition to the podcast. The pod's still going to be the main focus, so we're going to be trying to do the midweek content on that, and then we'll do this a little bit different, getting some different people on. So, 22 people watching at the moment. Welcome. Thank you for putting up with me once again. I've been quite prolific on the content over the last couple of days because a lot's happened. We'll look at the time. It's 16:51, which means you've got 9 minutes of me rambling before potentially, who knows, the club have put a tweet out. Something might be happening. You never know. So my old man's watching. First of all, have one for me, mate. Don't worry, I will. I've got 4 more of those in there, and then a whole crate of some sort of bog standard lager. But I'm quite into my fruit lagers at the moment. It's just like a citrusy IPA. Just one second. Oh yeah, it's got a bit of a kick to it as well. That's very, very nice. Quick hello to Ali Fletcher. Quick hello to Cornell Brummont. Now, big news today. 2 bits of big news today so far. The first one is that Ben Coker has left the club on loan for a season. He's gone to Stevenage, which is a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought that he might find his way into League Two, but he's gone to Stevenage, recently relegated to the National League. Look, he's going to tear the National League up. If that boy's fit, I think personally he's a top-end League Two, potentially lower-end League One left-back. We've never really seen the best of him. In fact, we've never really seen him. He's about the only player that I haven't got a picture of in the databank. Because that's repeating. Because obviously he played one game, he played 60-odd, 70-odd minutes of that game. Bobs wasn't there to photograph it, haven't got him. So just before I go on with that, we've got Steve Freeston. Afternoon, my friend. Mr. Oxbury, thought I'd given up alcohol. I'm back on it, mate. I've got a bar in my bedroom. What do you expect in my bedroom? In my garden, what do you expect? Big hello to Chris Graham. Big hello to Jimmy Atkin. So Ben's gone. He's still our player. But obviously he's gone out on loan to Stevenage. Is it a loss? No, in terms of the impact he had last season. No, in terms of the wages. No, in all manner of terms. A little bit of me still just believes that perhaps Ben could have had a role to play for us next season. He's an experienced head. He was a great character from what I knew. I spoke to him on a couple of occasions. And he was just a nice bloke. He was bubbly. He was fiery. He obviously wants to play football. But it worried me. He went out on loan to Cambridge, didn't get kicked for them. His injury record wasn't great. It's clear that he wasn't a Michael Appleton type of player. And if you're wiping the slate clean, you've got to wipe it completely clean. Absolutely completely clean. Very good, Stephen Freeston, but I'm not going to comment on that at the moment. So that's it. Ben's gone. He won't play in Lincolnshire again. He's one of the few players who made one appearance for the club and then moved on. There's quite a few others that I can think of, going back to the likes of Dave Regis, Simon Brown. There's even Alan Sheehan. We won't see him again. He's just going to be a footnote in history. It'll be a quiz question next year, so remember that one. So goodbye and thank you for the brief, fleeting memory, Ben Coker. So we have got Kate Jackson, give it 5 years and no one will remember who Ben Coker is. Quite right. I will. And you will, Kate, because you obviously remember that sort of thing just as I do. And good afternoon, Chopper. A few people commenting on things that I can't comment on specifically myself for another 5 minutes. So let's move on to the wage cap. One thing I will say in this bar, it's bloody warm. I mean, the sun has been belting out. I've got a view of the Wolds out there, which you can't particularly see. It's just nice. Absolutely, it's brilliant. Thank you for joining me in the bar. If you were here, I'd crack open the fridge behind you, but you're not, so I'll enjoy myself. Pete, by the way, on the phone the other day. That's what I'm on at the moment, mate. So Pete says, yeah, a season-long loan, another year left on the contract. I thought he only had a year left. I don't think he was given a 3-year deal when he came. I think he had 2 years, so he's got a year left at the minute. So he is still, Ben Coker is still technically our player. So we'll move on to the salary cap. Yes, we do remember Ben Martin. Yes, we do still remember Richard Flash. I remember Martin Garrett, who sadly passed away. He came on loan in the 90s. Salary cap, been passed today. Lots of people have been messaging me saying, what's my opinion? What do I think? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And I'm a little bit ambiguous about it. A lot of people will know that and jokingly, all joking aside, I have a real issue with clubs that are artificially boosted and lifted financially, the likes of Fleetwood, Crawley in the past, Salford, Forest Green. Got an issue with those. Maybe I shouldn't do, so I'm just having a look at that. Any info on incomings? Stay tuned, Andy Cook. And do you know the news? I cannot spill the beans. I do know the news. I do know the news. We're 4 minutes away from the embargo being lifted, so I do know the news. I should put the countdown on, I think, shouldn't I? Kate, very interesting. Yeah, Darren Dykes, I actually interviewed him for my book. Really nice fella. Darren Dykes came on loan from Swindon. So, excuse me, salary cap. There are positive aspects, certainly. When you look at things like Sunderland last year, spending 1.3 million on agents fees, they can't do that this year because the entire salary cap is 2.5 million. It will actually, in the long term, kind of help those teams a little bit because they're going to have to be a little bit frugal. I'm going to turn that light off. I don't care if it darkens one side of me. It's blinding me, man. I need to get a proper lighting rig in here. So I don't really. I don't think it's a terrible thing for them. In the first instance, the likes of Sunderland, Ipswich, Peterborough, etc., are certainly going to suffer. As are some of the clubs like Fleetwood, who again kind of like to spend over and above their means. I think for teams like us, it's a positive thing. We're run well as a club anyway. We don't particularly overspend, no matter what the announcement in 3 minutes suggests. The salary cap works well within our current budget anyway. So it just brings everything a little bit closer together. There's no way that Accrington or Rochdale have got a £2.5 million budget. It doesn't happen. So it's just going to compress down a little bit, just make it a little bit more of a level playing field. I do think it's harsh on, let's say, Peterborough. They sell Ivan Toney for, let's say, £5-6 million. They can go out and spend £4 million on a player, but they can only pay him within the salary cap restrictions. So I think that's quite harsh. I think the harder repercussions are probably going to be seen in League Two. £1.5 million, I think, is the salary cap in League Two. My understanding is that we were around there when we were promoted. It may have affected us. I certainly think that it's going to tighten things up a little bit there. There are workarounds, as we know. Players that have been signed prior to the salary cap are now rated at the average wage. So players signed prior to the vote today will be counted at £1,300 for the length of their contract, which is interesting. So let's say Bolton are actually paying Doyle sort of £4,000. It's £1,300 or even less in League Two for the duration of the contract. So it's going to take a season or two for it to properly filter through. Anyway, look, I'm not really here to talk about salary caps. I'm not really here to talk about Ben Coker leaving, Jack Payne leaving. I'm not here to talk about the pain of seeing Michael Bostwick wearing yellow. I'm here to talk about an impending announcement for Lincoln City. Now, I think we can all agree that what we've been calling out for, what we've desperately wanted to see come into the squad, and it's too early to judge the squad until a ball's been kicked, but what we've desperately wanted to see is an old head, a calm head. We've desperately wanted to see a player who's going to bring the young players on, who's going to be kind of a figurehead for us. Potentially, we've wanted to see a captain. If the season kicked off right now, at 1 minute to 5, who would be our captain? Cian Bolger? Potentially. Cian's certainly a quiet lad off the field. Cian would be one shout. Maybe George Grant, maybe. But at the moment, at 1 minute to 5, it would probably be Cian Bolger. But it's now 5 o'clock. So I can reveal, thanks to the embargo, the Lincoln City have signed Liam Bridcutt. Quite a few of you have already been saying it here. Great signing, Dominic Clark. I've actually got goosebumps saying it. Genuinely have. Simon Freeston says it's out. Biscuit, Liam Bridcutt. Liam Bridcutt signs for Lincoln City. Now, I got wind of this a little bit earlier. It's my understanding that he penned the deal before the vote. I'm not sure how that works. But when you actually look at the interview and read the official, Cornell's excited, imagine my surprise. When you actually read the official sort of output, He had options to go elsewhere. He had options for more money. But I always had at the back of my mind this little wonder as to whether he might come back. Reason being, he spoke so highly of Michael Appleton. He's clearly an Appleton acolyte, let's say. He clearly wants to play for the manager. He clearly was sold on what we were trying to do here. He was given the captaincy late last season, and that was a surprise. It did seem like a slap in the face to Lee Frecklington at the time. Gav Hughes, what a signing. Probably won't get to sit next to you, Gav, for a while, but I agree with you. Buzzing, and many more of these. I think I will be as well. Lots and lots of positive reactions. Signed just before the salary cap, Kev McCarthy. Cheers, Simon Freeston. Look, let's not understate this, okay? I raved about Jack Payne last season, and look what happened. So it can lead, it can be a fallacy to rave about a player. This stall's giving me jip as well. But this is a massive, massive signing for Lincoln City. This is what people have been saying we need. Liam Bridcutt is, I think, 31 years old. He's played in the Premier League. He's moved for £1 million between Leeds, Nottingham Forest, Sunderland. He's worked with top coaches. He's worked with top players. He's played international football. When he arrived last season, he added something to our midfield. And I firmly believe if you look at those last 5 games that he played in, particularly beating Burton, particularly MK Dons at home, particularly Rotherham, where I thought we competed against the team who ultimately were promoted, he added something. He added a nice weight. I think he played in the draw against Gillingham as well. So we played 5 games. There's 4 that we didn't lose. I know what you're like, Pete. I know that you do this on purpose. His injury record hasn't always been fantastic, but I think he proved when he came into Lincoln last season. He certainly proved his fitness. He certainly proved it at Bolton. He got obviously a dislocated shoulder or something, I think, and bounced straight back as well. But this is what we want. And if we're talking now about injuries and physios and that sort of thing, that's all down to the team. But he's signing fit. He's signing as a player that the class club he joined for £1 million. It creates a really interesting dynamic in the middle of the park there, because with James Jones and Conor McGrandles as well, you've got the heart of the team. And I know, I don't know if Adam's watching, Adam Barlow, but he's talked about the spine of the team from top to bottom. That's important, but the heart of the team is important as well, because everything else revolves around it. And we've got that heart now. We've got James Jones, who was linked with a championship move. Gets goals, gets assists, great engine. You've got Conor McGrandles, who MK Dons were gutted to lose. He's like an Alex Woodyard figure in my mind. He kind of puts himself about. He's all over. He's like when you crap the bed, you know what I mean? It's everywhere. If you spill milk, so he's everywhere. And that's Conor McGrandles. And then now we've got Liam Bridcutt, who I think, he brings that little bit of quality and poise. Early in his career, Gus Poyet actually said of him, he was good enough to play for Real Madrid. And I know that's probably an over-exaggeration, but I think it was back in 2010-11, something like that, or even as late as 13. Gus Poyet said, if I moved to Madrid tomorrow, I'd take Liam Bridcutt with me. That's how good he was for Brighton and Hove Albion after he left Chelsea as a youngster. This is a signing that people are going to sit up and take note of. They're going to talk about us spending money excessively, and I think when you read through what Liam has to say, he certainly turned down bigger deals to come to us. So I'll deflect that criticism as and when it comes along. But it's the heart of the team. That this isn't the be-all and end-all of our season. It isn't at all. But in a week where we've had to watch 2 released players sign elsewhere, one of them a real crowd favourite, and when we've had to watch 2 kind of experienced players leave the club, albeit with only having 31 games between them, this is incredible news. It really is. So we've got here, no, not at the moment. I haven't seen the length of the deal, Henry, to be fair. Even if it's a season, I don't care, because it's going to gel some of those younger players together. So it's incredibly exciting. Look, I'm not going to rattle on all night. I've got things to do. You've got things to do. Normally, when we go live in the bar, I'd be hoping to have a little bit more going on. Lee Adelsey, great signing. Absolutely, mate. There'll be a little bit more going on. I might try and get 2 stalls. Somebody sat next to me. We might even have a bit of a look round the bar. I don't know if you can see. We've got the pool table there under cover. I've got the window open. I can't really show you the fridge at the moment. That's behind us. Jukebox to the side. It's going to make a great setting for a magazine show. I certainly hope so. And yes, lovely midfield now, pass on experience. We have got the midfield. That's the heart of our team. There's still signings to make, but when you consider, we've got George Grant to throw into the mix on one flank. Tom Hopper is an experienced player who hasn't had a chance to prove himself yet. You look at some of the young players that we've got in Scully, in Max Melbourne, in Teo Eden. you can see the basis of the squad coming together, and 1, 2, 3 more players perhaps permanently, who knows, goalkeeper, maybe a centre half, potentially someone that can cover a fullback, I don't know, but you're beginning then to look at it and say, well, hang on a minute, we've got a decent squad here, and when you think about some of the other teams that are going to struggle, and I firmly believe that it's going to be tough for Wimbledon, Rochdale, Accrington, to name but 3, to compete financially at this level. Teams like Swindon, Plymouth, Northampton, Crewe shouldn't be any better than we are at the moment. We'll be lumped in with, I believe, the Bristol Rovers, the Shrewsburys, the MK Dons. They're the sort of sides that we're going to be tucked in and around. That's going to be upper half of the bottom half, or maybe lower top half. Who knows? There's still a lot of signings to be made. There's still a long way to go through the summer. But after a week where perhaps we've taken a few kicks and a few bumps along the way, this is good news. So let's finish off with a few comments that I've missed. We've got Colin Harkness, pretty sure his experience will be crucial to us. Experience is what everybody's been talking about. Charlie kicking off. He's bloody delighted that Bridcutt's here. Absolutely delighted. So, yeah. Indeed, absolute scenes, Niall Bagger. Indeed, Niall, a YouTuber who does this, I'm sure, far better than I do. I won't film myself at the games, I'm afraid, so do check out Niall's content. But yeah, absolute scenes, really, really good. That settled my nerves for the upcoming season. Great news, Reece Marshall. As I said this morning, no need for nerves until you get to a week beforehand. If you get to a week beforehand and we had the same squad, nervous. But people saying things like, we need this or we need that. Yeah, of course we do. We're 5 weeks from the beginning of the season. Every team needs somebody at the moment. Look at Ipswich. They haven't made a single signing. So it always amuses me, this kind of, we need this and we need that. And even I've been getting a bit jittery. But, this is big. A quick look through Cornell. Hopefully Tyler Walker's next to come. I would be very surprised, but you never know. David Ellis, how old is Liam? 31. So when I say breaks the mould, I think it just proves that Michael is willing to bring the right player in at a certain age if it is the right player. We've got to get a bad man ting in. Bad man ting, Liam Bridcutt, Cornell. Very good. I think we've seen that one before, maybe, but I'll bring it back up because it's quite right. Experience and calmness in midfield. Chris Lamming, he's already shared the bar with me once with a game of pool. Hopefully come over and be on as a guest, but he says massive signing. Huge signing. Huge signing. All the way to the bottom. David Tuplin is over the moon that Bridcutt is back, which is phenomenal. And indeed, same one. Got Kay, I think, didn't usually sign players till 2 weeks before the end of pre-season, as this season tended to go quite well. Exactly. Didn't sign Gary Taylor-Fletcher until during the season. Didn't sign Richard Butcher until during the season. We didn't sign Jason Shackle until during the season. We didn't sign Neil Erdley until the week before the season. So, you've got right up till the games kick off and potentially even further back than that. So, and Ben Ward thinks the best news is about a cap all day. The best news about a cap all day. I might not get that, Ben. Sorry. Best news about a cap all day. Anyway, so there we go. Liam Bridcutt arrives. He's signed. The salary cap is in. Ben Coker's gone. But this is the news. Scrolling to the bottom of your screen. Lincoln City signed Liam Bridcutt. We don't know how long. He's a permanent player. He's with us all season. He's likely to be captain. There is the heartbeat of Lincoln City. There it is. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, have a fantastic weekend. Genuinely do. I'm going to enjoy some more cans of this. My good mate Dave's over for some pool and the fridge is stocked. The sun is out. I get it now, Ben. Captain. Very good. You had lost me. But, yep. Great. And me and Ben will be recording a podcast tomorrow or Sunday for release next week, where we'll go into this in a little bit more depth. We'll be talking stats. We'll be talking what else we need. We'll be doing far more than I do here on the video. Really important to me that you listen to the pod as well. Get my voice in your life because it saves my missus hearing it. Anyway, have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.